So you've heard about this thing called straight edge, and you're thinking it might be right for you. You did a Google search for how to be straight edge, and you found the WikiHow article. 6 steps, right? Don't drink, don't smoke, don't do drugs. Easy. Well, there's a lot more to it. So here we go. How to be straight edge. Number 1, value the ideals of the punk community. What? What does that even mean? And what does that have to do with not drinking? Well, punk rock is what separates sobriety from the straight edge community. Plenty of people can be sober, but only punks can be straight edge. Being punk isn't hard. You just have to agree that the world is a messed up place and refuse to accept the values and the value systems that maintain that status quo. How to be straight edge, number 2. Understand the history of the straight edge community. History. You shouldn't have to memorize a history textbook just to be sober. And that's not what we're talking about either. Plenty of straight edge people think that they know everything that happened in the history of the straight edge community. But understanding the history, that's completely different. It was never about being straight edge makes me better than you. A lot of people think that it was. Where it came from was punk voices like the radio show Maximum Rock and Roll were pushing the idea that you couldn't be a true punk unless you were self-destructive and living your life like it was meaningless. Everyone was out huffing gas and getting high and trying to prove how punk they were. A lot of people thought this was really dumb. A guy named Ian Mackay was like, I'm punk too, but I don't want to have to spend my life trying to prove how punk I can be. I have better things to do. Screw that. And he wrote a song called Straight Edge that pretty much said exactly that. And all the people that heard that song and liked what they heard, they became the straight edge community. How to be straight edge, number 3. Understand your history, but support your future. This one's important. There are a lot of great straight edge records out there. There's been a ton of great music put out over the last 40 years. And we have to recognize what those people went through to be able to make those records. But guess what? Very few of those people are still straight edge. And a lot of those records, they either diss women, or they call for violence against drug users, or some of them are just straight up homophobic. So sure, it's easy to get caught up in old records when you keep seeing people flash them on Instagram. But recognize that young bands, they're our real future. They're the ones that are carrying our message now, making sure that our messages stay current, and keeping this thing alive today. They need our support the most, not some band that stopped making music in the 80s. So go to their shows, buy their records, and wear their t-shirts. Remember, your job is to help them inspire the next generation. How to be straight edge, number 4. Know that some people may think you're a fascist. Straight edge has rules, right? And rules are fascists, so people might think you're a fascist. Dumb, right? Well, it gets worse. Did you know that real fascists, neo-Nazis, and white supremacists are known to hate drug users and beat up drug users and hippies? They also put slogans like kill your local drug dealer or no tolerance and pure this or pure that on their clothing and on their banners. Some of them go so far as to call themselves straight edge, and some even say that you can't be a true neo-Nazi unless you're also straight edge. Coming from the punk community, straight edge has no room for fascists or racists in our community. And lots of straight edge people have been hurt or even died trying to keep neo-Nazis out of our shows and scenes. But if people think you're a fascist or a racist, now you know why. How to be straight edge, number 5. Gangs. People could assume you're a gang member. Back in the day, gangs used to be how young people stayed safe and protected themselves from drug dealers and neo-Nazi crews in places like New York or Boston. But it also means that straight edge crews have been involved in enough violence to now be registered as gangs in federal databases. So being straight edge means recognizing that in some places, you'll be banned from wearing straight edge clothing, and you could also get hassled by police for straight edge clothing or straight edge tattoos. How to be straight edge, number 6. Be real about addiction. We get it. Not everyone who comes to the straight edge has a lot of experience with substance abuse or addiction. It can be really easy to jump on slogans or say things like, if it was me, I would just stop doing them, or drugs are for losers. Every time you say something like that, all it does is tell people how clueless you are and how sheltered your life has been. So if you feel the need to make everyone think you're some kind of expert on overcoming addiction, well, maybe you should actually learn something about it first. How to be straight edge, number 7. Don't take it personally. People are going to give you crap for being straight edge. It sucks, but it happens. You tell someone that you don't drink, or you don't smoke, or you don't do drugs, and they get really defensive. They start saying things like, "Oh, you think you're better than me?" Or, "It's probably only temporary. One day you'll start drinking or smoking." Don't take it personally. A lot of people are insecure, and it upsets them that you wouldn't want to be like them. Or they're projecting the fact that they can't go a day without smoking or drinking, so how could you spend your entire life that way? Just don't take it personally. It's their issue, not yours. How to be straight edge, number 8. Don't let it get you down. This is a hard one, and one that we need to be honest about. If you're thinking about becoming sober, expect your whole life to change. Lots of the people in your life may leave, either because you no longer have enough in common, or they just don't want you around when they're drunk anymore. They just don't consider you fun. Don't let it get you down. Sobriety is hard enough without having to worry about meeting their expectations. And yes, it's going to be harder to make new friends without alcohol. That's just how it is. So go do what you love doing, playing music, skateboarding, rock climbing, BMX, taking photos. Meet people that love to do what you love, and use that as a foundation instead. How to be straight edge, number 9. Don't ever believe that there are different classes or levels of being straight edge. People that never drank alcohol or smoked or did any type of drugs may try to convince you that they're better than you. Really what they are is either sheltered or naive. They're not better than you. How to be straight edge, number 10. Don't be a jerk. We get it. CM Punk is your idol, and you want to be a jerk just like him. Straight edge means I'm better than you, right? Yeah, that was a shtick, and it paid his bills for a long time. It helped CM Punk get out before his body fell apart. But guess what? You're not CM Punk. You're not a wrestler. You're not being a jerk for money. Lots of straight edge people are complete failures and total losers. Being straight edge didn't make them better than anyone. How to be straight edge, number 11. Support your community. Being straight edge is hard. Just like being sober or clean can be really hard. You're going to face a lot of challenges, and you're going to lean on a lot of good people for help along the way. And eventually you'll make it to the other side, and that's when it's your turn to help others in their journey too. Share your experiences, because it could really help someone while they're struggling. The best way to share your experiences are hit up our site, join our Facebook group, follow us on Instagram, and you can always subscribe to our YouTube channel. Just go where there are straight edge people and join in the conversation. And if you need more information about anything we covered, there's a longer version on our website.